Previously, in the anime, Kanata was assigned to teach the worst class in the history of the Sky Wizard Academy, and because of their performance, Furin wanted to disband their group. But Kanata insisted that he will shape them into fine Sky Wizards and make them the winner of the upcoming Sky Wizard tournament. After which Yuri also became an instructor of an A-rank team to challenge Kanata, but there was a fanboy of Yuri who's been going nuts to get Yuri. So, as the story progresses, Kanata switched the positions of Riko, Lecty, and Mizora, and as a result, they were having difficulty playing their roles in the fight. They wanted to stick to their own roles, but Kanata kept them going for the mix-up, so they couldn't understand Kanata's motives for doing this, but they trusted his judgment. But Lecty had some second thoughts because her role was to fight close combats, and Kanata assigned her to be a vanguard, so she asked Kanata about it. And he brought Lecty back to the cafe to let her work part-time here. She had a little difficulty pulling out all the work, so a colleague of hers told her to just keep an eye on the surroundings. And Lecty started to get the hang of her work, and later she understood what Kanata wanted to teach her. And she also understood the part that Mizora has in their team and told her to focus on her every shots on those beetles. With that, they started to improve their teamwork and their formation. After that, Kanata noticed Chloe had bags under her eyes from overwork, so she told him about the attacker who recently targeted many Sky Wizards, so they were having extra shifts to catch him. But Kanata didn't pay much attention to this case and goes to his work. Then he made all three girls stay together in the same room and gave them a room to clean up. Then he meets up with Yuri. She hated Kanata, but he reminds them about the good old days, but recently Yuri changed her main weapon to sword, so Kanata was trying to convince her to get the spear back. But their conversation was interrupted by that mysterious attacker. This time he targets Yuri, and he's the nutjob who was after Yuri and beats her up. But Kanata gets in his way and fends him off for the time being, so he brought her back to the girls. They tended to their injuries, but when she awoke, she didn't know that the girls had to take off her clothes because they had been ripped off. And Yuri was totally embarrassed if Kanata saw her naked while the girls were changing her clothes. Kanata didn't have any answer to that, so that means he took a peek at her. So he runs away for a bit, then after a while he brought a luck charm specially for her, and then, the day of the Sky Wizard tournament arrived, but Mizora and her team's match was a day later. So Mizora was trying to learn their battle tactics, but she just couldn't understand a single thing, so Mizora was convinced that she was holding back her team. But Kanata gives her a pep talk to lift her up and told her to have confidence in herself. Then their first match comes up and Furin was certain that Mizora's team would lose, but, surprisingly, they won their first ever match and ended their losing streak, but at the same time, Real has gone completely insane for Yuri, and the monster core took advantage of it and brainwashed him. So listening to that monster core, Real then injected something inside of him to make himself more powerful. But, aside from him, Mizora and her team won every battle in the tournament and made it to the finals, but the stadium was packed to witness the evolution of Team E601. But no one was rooting for them. Then it was time for them to fight against Yuri's team. Her team was much better than their previous opponent, but this time, Mizora was going round and round the stadium to make her opponent chase her. So Yuri thought her team knows that their plan is to catch them off guard while making them believe that their opponent is not too powerful, and that they are wasting time. And strike at that moment when they expected the least, but Kanata's strategy lines them up for Mizora to blast them in a single strike. And that moment her opponent panicked, but Mizora didn't fire off her attack, so now that makes Lily angry that Mizora tricked her and they started to play a run around once again. Then they had them lined up in the range once again, and Lily thought Mizora won't fire them again, but Mizora was waiting for this moment and took out 3 of her opponents in a single shot. But just as they won, Real appeared to get Yuri, so Kanata told Yuri to run out first and he stayed behind to fight with Real. But his attack injured Kanata on his feet and Real again stopped Yuri from escaping, but Mizora blasts him out and they have now become his next target. He went berserk and transformed into the Devil Beetles, after which he created a storm to prevent anyone from interfering. Then he grabs Yuri with his filthy hands and attacks the girls with his wind slash, so Kanata then activated his powers, which healed his wound and Mizora remembered it's the same power that emanates from the Devil Beetles. Then Kanata managed to get on an equal footing as Real, and seeing this, Real realized that Kanata had also been chosen by those Devil Beetles. So he chose to leave his friends in the competition to hide this power, or else the trust Kanata had of his friends would be lost, because he had the power of monsters. Then Kanata tried to free Yuri but failed. Their Lecty slashed Rail's hand and freed Yuri and Kanata both. But then he attacked Yuri with the intent to harm, but Kanata took it on himself and got stabbed on his belly, so now Kanata was out of the picture, and Real wanted to make sure he was dead. But the girls intervened to save Kanata, but they weren't a match for its power, and Real wasn't fazed in the least by their attack, so this time Yuri brought her main weapon back, her spear. Real thought his regeneration ability was invincible, but as Yuri stabbed him with her spear, it began to destroy Real on a molecular level, so Real wanted to take out Kanata at least. But he didn't succeed in last attempt as Yuri threw that spear at him that penetrated his chest, so Real was defeated and the Sky Wizards took him under custody. Then everything went back to normal. But starting that day, Yuri had to join E601 because she lost the bet with Kanata that her team would win in the tournament, but she had brought out a cake specially for Kanata to propose to him. But he mistook that Yuri likes one of the three girls, so Kanata messed up big again, but after a while they forgot about this incident and the team E601 was never disbanded. And the anime comes to an end. But stay tuned to watch more of the anime recap on our channel, but for now, subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. Till then, take care.